and welcome back to the Mss Francois Show. I know I've been going a minute, right? But we're in season 5. Can you believe 5 years? I'm sorry to say though, even though Leslie is clapping right now, this is the last season. What? I have a life, I have things I got to do, I have other goals, okay, people? So as you all know, Mss Francois Show is about candid conversation, a variety of entertainment, and I use humor to help you deal with your dysfunctional relationship. So I'm going to make sure I have my first guest for my season 5 to be awesome. And every episode for the whole season is going to be great. So I'm going to introduce you to Leslie Hope. Let me give you her rundown. Wait till you hear this. She holds a BS in psychology, master's in public administration. She also a certified divorce coach, CDC transition and recovery coach, member of ICF. Have no idea what it is, but you know when you have more initials after your name, people think you're more intelligent. But anyway, real estate investor, an agent, author, wife, and mother of 2 adult sons. In other words, she has no downtime and no life. But anyway, here we have Miss Leslie. How are you, my dear?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
That sounds like a lot, actually.
Yes, it does. I'm shocked you even have time to come on today, okay? Because that's a lot of stuff. So my first thing, let me tell you why I wanted you on the show, the divorce coach, because I wanted to know, is people just making up stuff now? Everybody's a coach. So what exactly is a divorce coach?
You know, what's funny is when I thought I made it up, actually, but turns out I did not. So basically, I help people through divorce. So sometimes I deal with people while they're still married and they know they want to get separated. They don't know where to start. Sometimes I get involved after the divorce when there's just not good communication and the co-parenting isn't where it needs to be. And sometimes I'm there the whole way through. So that's it. I basically took my own divorce story and I said, you know what would have helped my experience be better? And I designed a program around that.
Okay, so you mentioned Miss Divorce Coach. The first thing I heard was, okay, so you're coaching me and you had a divorce, and how I know you ain't got a bunch of trauma and trying to help me? You could really help me because I have lots of trauma. So
Yeah.
tell us a little about your experience since you came out of divorce.
So yeah, I'm a divorce coach, but obviously there's a lot of relationship stuff. Not everybody gets married, not everybody gets divorced. So my story is that I had a baby when I was 16 years old. And I got married not very long after that. I think I was 22, had another baby, and then I got divorced by the time I was 26. And then I just kept dating really bad guys. And it took me a long time to figure out the psychology behind that and to turn my life and say, okay, why am I doing this? Why do I feel like I have to save people? Why do I feel like I have to make people change to be who I want them to be? Which is what inspired me to get my bachelor's degree in psychology. And once I was able to get that piece, which psychology is my passion, so I read all the books and that's what I love to do, but I ended up, in the old days, I was running a nonprofit. And so I ended up getting my master's degree in public policy, currently working on my doctorate in that. But what I did is I had these 2 kids, one when I was a teenager and one when I was in my early 20s. And I had 2 different dads and I had 2 different exes and I had 2 different parenting schedules.
So
and I
had 2 different set of drama.
2 different everything. And, you know, that was something that for me, I was embarrassed about and that I struggled to make sense of. And then finally one day I said, how could I turn this into a positive? There's not a ton of people out there with that much experience in co-parenting. And so I thought to myself, I think I can help people get through this. So I was able to go through an unwanted pregnancy myself, figure out how to co-parent with somebody that I didn't even want to date. And then I did the whole thing all over the right way.
With that said, what is the difference between a divorce coach and a therapist? Is there a difference?
My favorite question. So in very simple terms, a therapist helps you figure out how you got where you are, your past, your trauma. A divorce coach helps you get from where you are to where you want to be.
Okay, so repeat that one more time for people who went to put something on the stove and make a sandwich.
Sure. So when you talk to your therapist, and I have one and I love them, they help you figure out how you got where you are. They're going to look at
Mm-hmm.
your past trauma, your past relationships. They're going to talk about all of this that made you who you are today. A
Okay.
divorce coach, of course, takes that into consideration, but a divorce coach says, this is who you are today. Who do you want to be in the future? How can we connect that line?
Wow, well said. See, you guys need therapist and a divorce coach, not one or the other. Some of you all need both, and maybe a mentor and a counselor all at the same time. I'm just saying.
I have a
With
coach
that,
and a therapist.
you see, that
Yep.
means she has a lot of money too. But anyway,
I had.
some advice you would give to someone or people that's about to get married in order to try to avoid getting a divorce?
Oof. When I talk about it, that is my advice. If you're not having sex, talk about it. If you're having too much sex and you're uncomfortable, I don't really hear about that, but talk about it. If you're not talking, talk about it. Why aren't we talking? Why don't we want to spend, our vacations together? Why don't we want to spend our spare time together? Conversation or lack thereof is the number one relationship killer that I've ever found.
Because I also see a lot of people, especially this day and age, I think a lot of people are getting married for the wrong reason. Some people just getting married to say, I got a husband, I got a ring. It's the old glitz and glamour, the whole planning of the thing and everybody coming and a celebration. And then people keep forgetting the Disney movie ended with the curtain closed. But this is real life now. It's not no prince. It's amazing how people see these things. So I often say, you can say I ain't married. Let me see. No, I've been engaged several times
I was engaged
because I'm a good catch.
times, I think. My whole life I've been engaged a lot. I am currently married again. Um, but yes, I agree with you. I know for me personally, I had this unexpected pregnancy and this child, and it just felt like you weren't supposed to do that without being married. And so I just wanted to get married, and I wanted to have another kid that was close in age to my first one. And it was all this logistical stuff. And that is definitely not why you should get married.
It is so true. Like the logistic of stuff is like, I'm supposed to do this by this age. I'm supposed to be married, have a kid. This is what the house is supposed to look like. And I think that comes from, I guess, even your parents telling you this is how it's supposed, this is the kind of job you should have and why you should have this job and how the neighbor's going to see you. So you try to plan all these things, even sometimes as young as 10 when you're playing the little dollies and all these things. Oh my God, we're a bunch of traumatized people.
Yes. Yes. And just because you decide that you're whatever age you thought I'm going to be married at 25. You don't have to marry whoever you're dating at 25. Like that
Right.
doesn't mean this must be right because this is the age.
Yes.
Like, no, marriage is really, really, really hard with someone who's awesome.
Right. Just
And when
imagine
you
if someone is
really,
not awesome.
right, it's too hard. And, in my experience, it feels like women stay married so much longer than they want to be. Every woman that I know who got divorced, she's like, oh, I knew, 3 years before that. I knew 5 years before that. I knew when
Yes.
I got to the end of the aisle, like da da da. I
Oh my
knew.
God.
Walked to the back of the church, and I was like, oh man, this is not good.
That's when you needed someone to drive by with a car and be like, come. And you just jump in and you disappear.
Yeah, I probably would have got in it.
Is it a lot of
Yes,
times we're like fighting our own decisions or something? What?
but you don't want to know. It's harder to know. And also, I think in our minds, we've come up with some punishment or, like, I don't know what I was scared of. Spending a life miserable with someone else, that should be what we're afraid of. And yes, divorce is hard. And I tell everybody it's probably the worst year of your life. I don't sugarcoat it. It's very hard. But at the end of that year, you will be closer to being the person that you've always wanted to be. And if you were just married to the wrong person, you will find somebody else to marry if that's what you want. But you've got to get through that year. And it's a lot of soul searching. And you question everything about yourself. You question why you made the decision to begin with. You question, it makes you think about all those things. Divorce is transformative and not just from a legal relationship standpoint. It really is life-changing. And there's some good to be found in that. I really try to help people find the good in it. You have a second chance at all of the things that you believe you deserve, and you slowly walked away from that. Like, well, I really wanted this, but he doesn't have that and I love him and I'm just gonna, so what, but that stuff adds up. And the next thing you know, you've been married for 10, 15 years, and all the things that matter to you, you have come up with excuses why they no
Yeah.
longer need to matter. And then one day you're like, oh, wait a minute, there was a reason that I wanted these things. And getting divorced can be a beautiful way to figure all those things out. And it can be a great way to reclaim your life, because it is possible, but the divorce itself is very, very hard. It's
But it's
clearly
helpful
much
if you have a
harder.
divorce coach like yourself. It makes it easier.
Correct. Correct. And I tell everybody, it's so easy to get married, you just plan a party and great, but getting divorced is hard, and it takes a really long time, and it takes a lot out of you.
Like even with you and some of the things you went through with your situation, did you lose faith in marriage at all? Or, and if yes, like for how long
I
before
did.
you said yeah?
And I think it's like it's like a cycle, right? I mean, I'm married now. I've been married almost 9 years. And sometimes I'm like, man, I'm really lucky, love this guy. Sometimes I'm
Oh,
like,
is he close by? That's why we
no,
have to say it.
no,
Okay,
he
just
knows
check.
I feel this way. I'm a very good communicator. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, what was I thinking? But that's how normal married people think, like it's not always great. There are, downsides, and but when you talk about things, and we've gotten better through our relationship at talking about things. And I can say now, I'm angry at you because you did this and it made me feel this way. Not just the silent treatment, which is maybe how I
Right.
would have done things in the beginning, or been angry that he didn't know why I was angry,
And we women, we always think you should be telepathic. What do you mean you don't know that's what I was thinking? Because you should know.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's always a work in progress. And, I think that if I said I had it all figured out, then you should definitely peg me as a liar. Of course, I don't have it all figured out. But I do know that I do everything I can to try to keep learning, and I help my clients do that too.
Okay, so this husband we're keeping for now.
Yes, he's great. And I was able to decide what I wanted in a new husband when I figured out what I didn't want in my old husband. So I like to think that I took the best out of that and turned it into something better.
And even since you work with a lot of people and work with co-parenting,
Mhm.
to me, like divorce is one thing, right? Co-parenting is another. Like, tell me one of the hardest maybe couples or situations you had to work with, and you were able to get them to a certain step.
Oh, that's a great one.
I
Sadly,
know, I
a
asked
lot
it.
of my patient or my clients, they struggle with like parent alienation. So that is one of the biggest things I talk about is some of these parents don't understand the importance of two parents. And when they get divorced, they find somebody new, right? Like, oh,
Right.
it didn't work out with this guy. I'm going to move this guy in, and I want him to be my new husband, and I want him to be my kid's new father. And they say bad things about the kid's dad, and they say bad things, and they misrepresent their marriage, they misrepresent their parenting values. And those are the hardest cases for me, because I can help you as a client co-parent your kids better, and I can help you communicate better with your ex, but I can't help your ex. You know what I mean? Like that's where what
Yeah.
I'm doing stops. So we can work with how you handle the way that they talk to you and how you react to the way that they talk to you, but we can't change them. That's
I,
always a limitation.
have you ever had like clients where the two parties came at the same time, or is normally only one? They're not.
I only have worked with one. But I
Okay.
get that question a lot. So maybe one day, but that's more mediation. That's the role of a mediator, and I work with mediators. And that's their role to try to figure those things out. And my role is, okay, usually when I get involved for just the co-parenting part, the divorce is final and something's changed. Sometimes they were co-parenting really well, or sometimes they weren't. But at any rate, their relationship is over, one or both of them has moved on, the divorce is final, but now they've got these kids, and they're just not getting the co-parenting relationship that they thought that they were. And a lot of times it's they don't like their relationship with their ex, but most of the time it's because they want to make sure that their kids are getting the best, and they're struggling with how to do that. It's heart-wrenching.
I know, just the divorce by itself, but now you have kids in the mix. You would know, that's a lot of trauma.
Well, and when
What
those
is,
teenagers, they're nightmares anyway. So then you got like a double whammy, and that's the kind of stuff we work on.
what is the number one thing your clients need help in understanding when it comes to divorce?
It seems easy, right? It seems like the advice that I give them in co-parenting is sort of like, is this about me or is this about the child? And it's a couple of simple questions you can ask yourself, and it seems easy. Well, I can ask myself questions, but it is so much harder. Just things come up in co-parenting relationships, and everybody says, "Oh, well, I'm not going to let her take the kids to go do that because it's my weekend, and it has been my weekend," and all these things. And the bottom line is, well, are your kids going to be better for going on this weekend?
Mm.
Like, or is it, or do you not want them to go because it's her winning? Like, is this about still getting back and digging at the ex, or are you actually making a decision that's better for your kids? And it seems like it should be such a black and white, good, bad, but it's not. There's a lot of gray area there. And that is what parents struggle with.
Oh, I mean, everyone is different. On average, how long you think someone takes to even get over a divorce? Does it matter the length of time someone's been with someone, or
That's a good
how does
question.
it?
I don't know about that. I've read where there's a timing thing, but I don't think that's true. I think that it just depends on who, the person who leaves always moves on faster. So it depends on whether you're the ones who decided that they wanted the marriage to dissolve or not. Certainly for me, I left, moved on really quickly, and never shed a tear. And I was like, and in that regard, a lot of my clients, like I support clients when they're the cheaters. I know everybody thinks that that's terrible, and I don't think that. I understand why people cheat, and those people need support too. They have to figure out, why did they do that, and where do they want to go from here? That's what it's all about. And I mean, I moved on. I knew I didn't want to be married, and my ex-husband is still mad at me. It's been 20 years, because I left. And so it's my fault, and it's all about blame and punishment. And, I will never be a good person or right in his eyes. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Well, you seem very okay with that after you've been married for 9 years to an amazing guy.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I'm happy.
how has your kids? It's two boys or a boy and a girl? Two
Two
boys.
boys. They are
So how?
20, 28. So they are adults now.
Wow, that's yes. Are any one of them married?
Nope.
Or how has it been like in the relationship, the dynamic going through the divorce? How has it been for your kids?
Well, my oldest son, because I was so young, I was in high school. His dad and I dated off and on when he was very young, but we were never married. So he doesn't even, that there wasn't a huge breakup that he could recall, and things changed for him. Things were just always that way. And my youngest son was 2 when I got divorced. So for him, he doesn't remember us together. And he definitely struggled with that. I would say somewhere around like 12, like early preteen years, it was a lot of questions, a lot of just, my life would be so much easier if you two were still together. And it was a lot of conversations about, logistically, it might be easier. You might not have to, change houses every other week, but it would be a lot more difficult, because I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be here. I could not have survived in my marriage the first time around. And and as he gets older, we're able to have a lot more of those conversations. And I think now he understands that a lot better.
And even with co-parenting, since beside the person getting through the divorce, having their issues, and we all know, as from some of the example, the kids are going through some stuff. What are some suggestions that you suggest to help the kids cope better as well?
Well, again, talking, I really tried to talk to my kids, and I tried to say, hey, look, I know that you look at your other friends and you think their parents are married and their life is easy, but that's just not true. And anybody who thinks that married parents are, somehow better, or they don't have it figured out either. And even if you're still married, it doesn't mean that you're happily married. It doesn't mean that you're a good communicator. So I just say, I tried really hard to be open with my kids. Something else that's in my book is my parents were very, you don't do this and you don't do that. And when you're married for life. And I've just tried really hard to have open conversations with my kids about, hey, sex is not something you're probably going to wait until you're married to do, but you care about people and this is how you behave, and you need to be able to talk to me and have an open conversation about your relationships. And I say, come to me and talk to me when your girlfriend makes you angry. And I do not say, what did she do to my son? You know what I mean? I'm like, what did you do? Like, let's back this up. Tell me a little bit more. And I've just tried really hard to be able to talk to them and encourage them to be good communicators. And I've got one that's a really good communicator, and I've got one we're still working on.
Well, that's the honest truth. So I can appreciate that, and I'm sure the viewers can appreciate that as well. What's the main thing you would give someone, like advice you would give someone who's preparing, like you had mentioned before, sometimes you're there in the beginning, even before the divorce. So how do you prepare someone that's thinking of or about to go through a separation? Besides prayer.
Get a team. Okay, so you're going to need your lawyer. Everybody knows that. There's a pretty good chance you're going to need a real estate agent to find out what your house is worth. You'll need some sort of a financial person to talk about your assets and what things are going to look like for you when theoretically half the income is gone. Of course, you need a divorce coach. Of course you do. And a therapist. And I always say that when you go through a divorce, your friends are going to get super tired of hearing about it. Your family is going to be very torn in the middle. They know you, they know your ex, they know your kids. You need somebody who is not involved and whose sole purpose is to support you. And that is something else that a divorce coach does.
And even with that said, like some people might say, okay, divorce coach sound really amazing and great. Thank you, Leslie, for helping all those people, all your clients or whatever. But not everybody needs a divorce coach. But what are some considerations in deciding if you do or if you don't?
I think that you need a divorce coach one, they're great to have at the beginning while you're planning because they can help you. A divorce coach in theory should say, hey, if you're going to go talk to a lawyer, you should take these documents, make sure you've got your finances, know what you want, know if you want your house, don't want your house. They can help you organize. Lawyers are very expensive. Divorce coaches can be too, but they can help you line up and get things in order so you'll spend less time, wasting the lawyer's time. You're going to have all your stuff together and help you be a little bit more organized. During your divorce, you need a divorce coach. If and when you're divorced, if you're not friends, so if you're not friends, and I hear that happens, I don't know anybody that it happened to, but if there's anything there that's causing you, divorce is in itself so much trauma. Like I have said from the beginning, every corporation should have a divorce coach on staff because their employees that are going through a divorce are not at 100%. They're not, they're not. Sure. They're preoccupied and they're getting these text messages from their ex or their lawyer. And every time they do, it's a physical response. Their hearts are beating, they're having anxiety, and this is happening at random points during however long this divorce period is. So, a divorce coach can help you rein that in, or they're your first call. I just got a call today from one of my clients. It was her and her husband's anniversary. I knew she was going to call me today. I knew it. Because that first anniversary, not together, she left. She's happy to be gone. But I was like, okay, but I'm probably going to talk to you on Tuesday because I know you're going to have a rough time with it. And she was so upset. She was so emotional. And she called me and I said, and she's like, but I'm happy to be going through this. Why am I sad? Because divorce is like taking 10 million emotions and putting them into a can and shaking them up and then exploding. And you never know which one's going to come out first. And there are days, it's just like grief, right? You're grieving the loss of a relationship that with your whole body you thought was going to last forever.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Oh, you're deep. I'm here like, with that said, if you had to just on a whole give like one advice, it could be to a marriage person, a divorced person, a co-parenting person, what's like one main advice you would give to them?
If you can't talk to your spouse, talk to yourself, meaning write, journal, whatever you need to do to get it out. Because if you are not able to talk to your spouse and you are angry, hurt, even happy, write it, journal it, and you will learn more about the way that you feel and what you want and where you need to go than you ever would.
Wow. See, I like even your voice even sounded so soothing and caring when you give that advice. With that said, just tell me a little about the course that you mentioned before.
I'm working on an online course, but wait, what did you ask about?
The course that you're working on, what exactly is it? What, tell me something about it. Or what's the number one thing it's going to definitely help people with? Why is something that they should definitely look into or look forward to?
Okay, I'm working on a co-parenting course, and it will be an online course that will, it does a whole section on how to communicate with your kids about the divorce, and then a whole section on how to communicate with your spouse or ex-spouse through the divorce process and then after. And so the point of the course is just to really help people with that conversation we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Am I doing this because I'm mad, sad, angry, revengeful, or am I making this decision because it's best for what's my kids? So it really tries to nail in what is best for my kids, even if it's not what's best for me.
Wow. And you know, a lot of people stay longer, like you said, women especially stay longer, even though they know it should be over. Do you ever condone staying for the kids? Because some people, a lot of times when you talk to your friends and family, they always said, especially the more mature, older adults, is like, I stayed for the kid. I stay until the college. I stayed till they left. So is that something people should be doing or not doing?
I think it depends. I have a person that is not a client, but she knows that she doesn't want to be there and openly talks about it, and she's waiting for her kids to finish high school, right? And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I think that depends on the kids. I hate watching her waste her life. I know um, how much she's going to regret the time she didn't spend on herself when that day comes. But marriages are complicated, and maybe in a couple of years their marriage will be different. I mean, there's just no way of knowing.
Well, look at the bright side. She might have to end up paying you anyway. So, hey, it's a win-win.
I do love a good win-win, I do.
So
Definitely.
with that said, just tell me a little about the book that you mentioned and tell people where they can definitely find and reach out. Goddamn.
I'm really proud of it. It just came out a week ago. It's called Not Married, Not Row, the survival story of a reluctant teen mom. And it's about how it basically is the first 25 years of my life. And it got me through my having my two kids and my divorce, and how I set my life up for way better things, which I now have. And it is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere you buy books.
But put the book up one more time. That's you drinking. Oh, okay.
The
That
bottle
does
of
not look
Dobbs.
that does not look like soda or water.
No, no. And I've got this is actually a photo shoot I did for my 40th birthday. So this is Pizza Hut pizza because I love it. And this is my favorite wine, which I'm actually sober now, but at the time that was my favorite wine. And this is champagne, which I also still love. I drink non-alcoholic champagne now, but this was a photo shoot of all my favorite things, and it was the most fun I've ever had. Highly recommend.
That's awesome. So again, where can people find you?
LeslieHopeCoaching.com.
Awesome. So as always, I'll definitely put that down in the link so you could definitely check out Miss Leslie. So thank you so much, Leslie. As everyone know where to find me.
Yeah.
All social media, www.mssfrancois.com. And remember, Miss Francois always say exactly what you're thinking. Thank you so much, my dear. Have a wonderful evening. Say bye to everyone.
Bye. Thank you.